Now, we got a fight coming up August 19th. Artur Beterbiev versus Callum Smith. Now, when you think of Beterbiev, this is a guy that for a long time people were referring to as like the boogeyman at 175 pounds. He's the guy that everybody is talking about, everybody's aware of, everybody's kind of trying to do their best to avoid. Why is that? Well, it's easy to say, right? We look across from him, 19-0, 19 knockouts. Everybody that steps in there against this man is getting floored. Everybody's getting stopped. Like, who wants to go in there necessarily and fight that dude? Easy to understand how people are going to come to that conclusion. Yet at the same time, when you watch him fight, we see holes in his game, right? And I don't mean to say that as though the man has no skill, that he's just going out there and he's just got sledgehammers for fists and he's knocking everybody out left and right, and he's just glaring weaknesses that nobody's able to take advantage of. That's not the case. The man's got a very high skill level. Yet at the same time, he's not going out there with some incredibly beautiful boxing technique. Like when you sit there and you watch him, you look and you say, there's things that you can take advantage of. There's holes to be seen. There's ways that we can build. And as the man gets older, he's 38 years old. And as the man gets older, those are only going to become a little bit bigger. Things that didn't used to be a problem, maybe like cardio, maybe like punch resistance, maybe like foot speed, because he does move around a little bit. Things that didn't used to be a problem, as he gets older, maybe they will be a problem. In steps Callum Smith. Now, here's one of the things that I noticed. I'm going to break this down a little bit further as we get closer to the fight, right? We know it's in August, so we got a little bit of time in between now and then, but I'm going to tell you what. Last fight that we saw Beterbiev in against Anthony Yarde, he goes out there, he ends up getting the stoppage. But when that stoppage occurred, he was losing on two of the judges' scorecards. So we go back and we think, where exactly did Yarde see success? Where exactly did he put himself in a position to be winning on two of the cards prior to this, at the time of the stoppage? And you see it right away in the first round, man. I'm talking about right away in the first round, we see Anthony Yarde landing the left hook. We see him knocking Beterbiev off of his square with that left hook, right? We see him coming forward with it, and we see him catching him with it, because we know Beterbiev likes to come forward. We know he likes to apply pressure. We know that that's what punchers like to do. Beterbiev isn't an exception to that rule, and there's times as he's coming forward there, he's getting caught with that left hook from Anthony Yarde. Now, Callum Smith has a tremendous left hook, man. All we need to do is just look at a few of his fights, right? We can go back at 168 pounds. We can look at fights with George Groves. We can look at a whole range of fights up to and including his last one in which he scored the stoppage. Like, Callum Smith has a very good left hook, and he's versatile with it. He can go forward with it, or he can catch and counter with it. He's got a beautiful catch and counter with that left hook. One of the things that he talked about after that loss to Canelo, the only loss on his record, lost that fight at 168 pounds. But one of the things that he talked about was, hey, if it wasn't for this arm injury, if you'd have told me going into this fight that Canelo was going to be throwing this many right hooks, this many right hands, and that I wasn't going to be able to catch and counter, I would have told you it was crazy. That's what I do, catching and counter. And that left hook, when you see him use it, man, it's so smooth, it's so quick. It's like he's got that thing on a hair trigger. And that's what we saw Beterbiev getting caught with. That's what we saw him. I don't know if I want to necessarily say that he got hurt with it, but it looked like he felt it from Yarde, right? Yarde was able to move around a little bit. And here's the other thing. When I look at the footwork of Beterbiev, he's moving around, right? He's using what I refer to as the small circles. He's using these little half circle movements, right, where he's making small circles around his opponent, but he becomes a little bit predictable in his movement in the way that he'll kick off to each side before he begins his attack. Callum Smith he's a smart fighter with a good ring IQ. He just started, since he moved up to light heavy after that loss to Canelo, he moves up to light heavy. That was 2 fights ago. These last 2 fights, he was working with a new trainer with Buddy McGirt. Buddy McGirt is a very smart trainer with a very good ring IQ. He gets his people in there with good game plans. So I think that's one of the things that, he'll be able to pick up on and that they'll be preparing for in this training camp. And I'll tell you what else. Since he started working with Buddy McGirt, one of my critiques, or one of the criticisms that I had about Callum Smith going into the fight with Canelo that I said was going to be trouble, was the fact that he wasn't, he didn't have upper body movement, and he didn't work angles with his feet, which meant that he was right in front of his opponent to be hit. And if you're right in front of Canelo to be hit, it's going to be problems. Yeah, you can catch and counter and you can do all those things, but there's only one person that we saw be able to be in front of Canelo, catch and counter, come out with the victory. That was Bivol. So looking at it going in, I'm looking at this fight with Callum Smith, I'm like, it's not going to work out too well for him. Didn't end up working out well for him. But now that he's working with McGirt, he's using way more upper body movement. Way more upper body movement. Look at how he was doing in that last fight. He was avoiding a lot of shots with subtle movements on the inside, head and upper body movement, slight little movements with his feet. Nothing exaggerated, nothing crazy. Now, Anthony Yarde was using a lot more movement, but that's what was giving Beterbiev trouble in his last fight. So if Callum Smith is able to come in there, he's able to avoid some of these big shots. He's able to catch and counter some big ones with this left hook that we saw Yarde landed. He's able to work slight little angles and get little bits of movement with his feet in there that's just enough to keep Beterbiev from gauging the distance right, just enough to keep him from the timing, because that's the thing. Beterbiev uses positioning and timing. He doesn't have incredibly fast hands. He doesn't have incredibly fast feet. He's not big for the division. Callum Smith is moving up from 168, and he's going to have a significant height and reach advantage over Beterbiev, right? So how does Beterbiev get his shots off on all of these guys? It's about the positioning that he uses. It's about the timing. It's about the fact that he kind of knows how to get into spots and stuff. But look, he doesn't have great balance. He gets off of both feet at times. He gets himself out of position, and he's able to get away with stuff because people are so scared of that power, right? We've heard multiple people talk about it. Mickey Bays talked about it. Chad Dawson talked about it. They said in sparring that it was like an unnatural type of power. 19-0 with 19 KOs. We see the way he's out there. He's catching with dudes with shots. He's making them crumble and stuff. We see what Beterbiev brings to the table. I don't know though, man. There's something about it. There's something about this fight. Maybe it's all of the little factors. Like I said, he's moving. He's getting up there in age. It's what we just saw from Anthony Yarde and the way he's able to land that left hook. It's the extra head movement and the little nuances that I see Callum Smith getting into his game from, working with Buddy McGirt. It's the fact that he looked way healthier and way stronger at 175 pounds than he did at 168. I really like that. It's about the fact that he's taller and longer, and he's got such a good jab, and Callum Smith is very technically sound, so that could put him in a position where he's controlling the distance very well, and it's making Beterbiev come forward, which opens up even more opportunities for the counter shots. I mean, look at the right hand that he landed in the counter shots. Like, Callum Smith has good timing. I mean, I don't know. He's got very good power himself, man. He's known to hit guys and hurt them. So I don't know. There's something about all of the way these things are getting put together that's making me think like, dude, he's a significant underdog going into this one. You're looking at the line right now. I'm seeing stuff like Callum Smith at plus 280, plus 290, and I get it. He lost at 168 pounds to Canelo. Now he's going to move up and at 175, and he's gonna fight Beterbiev. On the surface, it sounds kind of crazy, but look, man, styles make fights. Styles make fights. And when I'm looking at the style matchup on this fight, I'm thinking Callum Smith absolutely has an opportunity to go in here and potentially make something happen. So like I said, as we get the fight is a little bit out, and as we get a little bit closer, I'm going to break it down a little bit more, but I'm already liking what I see. This is a fight that's flying under the radar because we've had some big fights happen at 135. We've got the massive fight happening in July that just got recently announced with Errol Spence and Terrence Crawford. So, no one's really talking about this one yet, but as it gets closer, they will. Both of these men are big names. It's going to be happening out in Canada, which is probably going to make it a big date and a big fight, like actually on site, seeing as how with Beterbiev. So it'll be interesting to see how it all plays out, but let me know what you guys think. Am I completely reading this one wrong? Is there a reason the line is what it is? Callum Smith's going to go out there and he's just going to get caught with some really big shots. He's going to try that catch and counter. Beterbiev he's strong enough to be able to punch right through the guard and it's going to be lights out. Or does Callum Smith really have an opportunity here? Let me know what you guys think.